You turned $375.
Yes, into 400 and something million in sales. Yes, profitable the whole way. Thank you.
Nice work.
Thank you.
When he was a student at a community college in 2004, Joe Martin was living on rice and ketchup. In order to pay for his college tuition, he started a business with just $375, all he had, and built it to over $10 million in annual sales by 2012. In 2013, he used $500,000 in profits from that business to start Boxycharm, the largest full-size beauty box in the world, which ships over 1 million boxes a month. Last year, Boxycharm was acquired by Ipsy in a $500 million deal. How did he do it? The entrepreneurial spirit is the cornerstone of the American dream, a beacon to all willing to weave their story into the fabric of our history. I'm Elliot Dweck, and this is From the Founder. This episode has been sponsored by Adina's Jewels. So Joe, I know you just sold Boxycharm for $500 million to Ipsy. Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
But I know that you started from humble beginnings. Tell us how it all started.
My parents lived in the northern part of Israel. They got divorced when I was 8 months old, and we lived in Israel right up until I was about 16 and a half. That's when I moved back with my father, and then eventually my mom moved to the United States. She followed me. Eventually I had to go back, and in the US I ran into a point where we didn't have a place to be, so it was tough. We had to get help from Christians, churches. They helped us.
You didn't have a place to live.
I had no place to live for a while. I was around 17 and a half here with my mother, and I figured she was taking care of old people. She was working as an in-house au pair when she came down here. So it was hard because I couldn't stay in that place. So we get some help from Christian families that just wanted to help, and then some rabbis. They did a fantastic job, and they really are amazing people. Eventually, I wanted to move back to Israel. It was...
Wait, were you sleeping in their houses?
Yes. So I wouldn't call it homeless because I was staying in homes, but we didn't have a place.
It wasn't your home?
No, it wasn't my home. And it was tough because coming to a point in my mother's life where she was trying to provide, but at that age, it's kind of hard to get on your feet, especially in a foreign country. And I had to move back to Israel, and I was actually looking forward because I wanted to stay in the army. I wanted to be in the army. I liked being in Israel. And it was easier for me to go in saying, I'm not going to be a burden, or she can figure it out from there. 2 years after I finished the military, I came down over here and I went to school. I went to Brad Community College, and then later on FIU, did my bachelor in business. If I had the legal status to work, perhaps I would have worked for Gap or Old Navy, but right. I didn't. I was not allowed to work. I was allowed to stay here, but you're allowed to open a business. You're allowed to open a business, but you cannot give yourself a salary. You can take a dividend.
Which is what you did.
That's what I had to do. So I was very appreciative that I was at least able to open a company.
Got it. So now you're in this community college, and you started your own business.
Yes.
While you were in college.
Yes.
This was Merchandise Liquidators?
Merchandise Liquidators, yes.
How did you think of this idea to get into closeouts of all things?
I didn't think about it. I was trying to figure out how to make money, and I wanted to arbitrage. I wanted to buy and sell. I was literally living on rice and ketchup, really student on a budget, the whole 9 yards. And I saw an opportunity where someone told me that he buys pallets with products from Sears, electronics from Sears, and he buys them, he fixes them, and he sells them on eBay. It was in a Spanish class. We took Spanish class together. So he did one class, and he told me about the concept. I wanted to ask him in the next class, the day after, or 2 days later, and he just didn't show up. So for about a semester or so, I was trying to figure out how to find the source that he was talking about, but I couldn't find anything until I met someone that worked for a liquidation company. And she told me, well, you don't need any money to make money, and don't think about selling on eBay. Don't think of selling item by item. Think of selling the whole truck to a person that wants to buy a full truck of electronics. This way you don't even get to touch it. You get a listing from Sears of everything they have available, all their excess inventory or returns, and you just flip it. So my next question was, yes, but I don't have the money to buy those goods. He said, no, but you got to flip it. You get the listing, you show it to someone else, he gives you the money, you go and you buy it. It's great, but how do you get someone to find out about me? She said, well, that's SEO, search engine optimization. You basically build a website, and then you make sure that when they search it, you're gonna appear in those positions.
Right, and you became an SEO expert.
So for the next years, I didn't sleep. I was all about that. There were no Tony Robbins online. There was no one to tell you how to make money online. No, all those online courses did not exist. We're looking at 2004. It's on you, figure it out. And a big piece of that was social media in the early days. And that really helped me. That was the foundation for the marketing for Boxycharm later on. And my first sale, that was when I took that cash, and I think it was about 7,000 and change. That was the profit, and everything had to go to my, it was the tuition I had to pay. And I think it was the last day to pay. And if I wasn't, I would lose my status. I wouldn't go back to school, and I would just be an illegal immigrant, and I didn't want that. My mindfulness is the fact that I was able, with the skin of my teeth, paying that particular tuition because of the business that I opened, and I was left after that with a couple $100 in my pocket, which was good and bad. Bad because obviously I had to give it all away. Good, I have 4 more months until my next tuition. I can make some more money now. So it gives you the drives.
Right, so you were always living, you had to pay for the next semester, so you had to make enough money.
Yeah. I ended up, by mistake, finding out that makeup is a very underserved industry in the liquidation space, because most of the men don't think makeup at that time.
Wait, how did you start thinking makeup?
I got by mistake a palette that was supposed, a skid that was supposed to have something else in it, and instead they had makeup.
As one of these deals that you were working on?
Yeah, and I said, this is garbage. What is this? All the little stuff. I'm gonna probably lose whatever. And I was small at that time. And I had one person working with me, and she said, what are you talking about? That's way better. I told her, yeah, but those, who's gonna want it? She's like, this is better. We can sell each item for $1. I told her, but those are small. No one's gonna pay $1. She said, do you know what it costs? So she picked up a lipstick. I told her, in the store? She said, yes. I said, I don't know, 5 cents? She told me, no, that cost $5 to $10. Here, look, the sticker price. I told her, it doesn't make sense because the shampoo is this big and it costs $2, $3. So if this is lipstick, this is that small. So that's how, and then eventually, and then we sold it right away. We made so much more money on this one. We were very small at that time, but then I understood that, okay, if I think like that, all the other guys that run companies like mine, much bigger, big wholesalers, they think the same, because we're guys, we don't understand that industry. And the female consumer has the demand much more than the male consumer. So how about we continue? So I said to my suppliers, whenever you have those little pallets, you send them my way. And that's when my liquidation company took off. Makeup, 100%, and I blew up with makeup. I bought the domain wholesalecosmetics.com. I was all about makeup. So whatever you search online with makeup, you would probably find my site. And I had tons of makeup. I had millions of units over there to sell, great profit. The company blew out. It was all about the product.
Right, and you're not producing these goods yet?
No, it was all excess inventory from CVS, Walgreens, big stores. You'll walk around the aisles and you'll see the makeup over there at first, no discounts. Then you start seeing 25% off. Then they lower it to 50%. Sometimes it goes to 75%. And whatever didn't sell would go to a guy like me.
So how many years were you just working on merchandise liquidators?
15 years.
15 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so during this time, your initial realization, just to recap, your initial realization was, I'm gonna buy the excess inventory and I'm gonna flip it, and how are people gonna find me to buy the goods? I have to rank, and I'm gonna have to learn SEO, and I have to be great at it.
Yes.
So you're like, I need to be ranking, so when somebody searches it, somebody Googles it, we come up at the top, and then they think to buy from us. So when they search makeup or they search cosmetics, they find me, right?
Correct. It's a very interesting process of how we decide what to give to who and when.
Okay.
There's a personalization, there's an algorithm behind this, There's a process that's well curating. It was built to curate a box. So when you have a box with a particular variation, we would have to give it to the person that the algorithm would find that person to be the fit for that box with all those products at the right time. So I ended up sitting down and I saw this ad purchase and and asked about the purchase, and they told me, yeah, it's going to the subscription box. What's a subscription box? Oh, you know, it's boxes every month and so on. So they explained to me the concept, and they told me, well, a subscription box, they're asking brands for free stuff, and with the hope that those products, when they go into consumers, those consumers will go and buy the product.
Right.
So first thing I thought to myself, that's not. I looked into the space. I saw that most of those companies raised good money, so there was a lot of interest in the space, and it's a new space. I was able to count 5 companies at that time. So I said, well, the momentum is there, but it's not a first mover advantage because I didn't invent that, but it's definitely a second mover advantage if I do it right. Because I understand that the space, I know it works, but if I had to change something, I would say, well, I don't understand how they come up with asking free stuff from the brands. What if I find the economics to pay the manufacturing cost? This way the brands doesn't pay nothing for it. And I learned that if I do it for full size and I charge $21, I can actually do it if I modify the packaging. Many of the, especially the $21 box at the time, they were really heavily investing in the packaging, and they poorly did that. I kind of like redid the whole formulation. And
right. Did you, once you saw, okay, there's this thing out there called a subscription box, and I have ideas, like, did you say, okay, these are all the things they're doing wrong, this is what...
It wasn't all right away. It took us, we're looking into 6 months into it once we started, okay? So think of, first here's the concept, okay. Let's do it. What I liked the most, okay, I should go back and I'll tell you that the second question I asked was, how do they advertise themselves? And he said, it's all social media. I said, that I can do. If that's the case, I can do it.
You were doing social media before
exactly.
social media.
Exactly, I was, okay. So then when I looked at social media, what really blew my mind was, they don't have to do anything. People get the box, they take a picture, and they post it on Instagram, and I said, this is it, guys, this is it. This is what I was waiting for. It's very, very contagious. Once you go into a place
right.
and you have a mother receiving the box, she shows her daughters, or the other way around, and now the whole family are getting the boxes, and it sells itself, which that was the purpose of this entire business, was to make sure it sells itself. Fan pages on Instagram, and the conversation was coming from every direction, which built an amazing cool factor for any brand. I was not from the beauty space. Primarily it was based in New York. Some in LA, some in San Fran, but primarily in New York. There was its own world, its own politics. I was not from there. I learned that people who uses Instagram are doing something new and cool, and they understand something that majority don't. And I figure I'll just have good products, and eventually I'll figure it out. It didn't stop me from not being from there, guys. So.
And you not knowing much about beauty is the whole beauty of it. Only an outsider could disrupt an industry the way you did.
So yes, if you look at our industry, there are tons of taboos, tons of yes, do's and don't do's and so on. And because I'm not from there, because I don't apply makeup, and because I'm completely not from that industry, I didn't have a particular mindset. I wasn't programmed in a certain way, and I would do many things that no one wanted to do at the time because they said nobody would do it. Why? Because you just don't do that. But why?
Right.
Everybody knows that. Yeah, but that's not answering my question. Logically, why? I'll give you an example. When I started, I cared about 2 things. I cared, number 1, I wanted to have the best product in the box. I thought that nothing else matters. If you have the right product and you ship it on time, everything else is deprioritized. I don't care about the packaging that much. I don't care about the branding. I don't need to know about the branding. This is not about anything. When I was trying to meet people at the beauty industry at the time, the main thing was, let's look at who is she. Let's look at the DNA of your company. Let's look at your website, look and feel. What is your mission statement? All those questions, I had no answer for any one of them. I was rejected many times with And I was just trying to bring consultants over, give them equity in the company. Come in, give you equity, help me out, connect me, but I knew what I'm looking from them.
Right.
I was not looking for you at the time to be my creative director and tell me, I'm looking for a relationship so I can have a warm introduction to major brands.
You were getting rejected by consultants even just to come over and be part of your company?
Many times, yes.
Were you getting rejected by these major brands?
In the beginning, yes, of course, at first. And I wouldn't say rejected like that because you don't even know who to contact. You're not from the industry. It's a major conglomerate. Who do you call? And you just, a phone tag, call this person, or no, that's not, we don't do that, we don't do boxes, we don't. And then you see them with your competition, they are doing boxes. Just who's the person who's doing that? And the concept of full-size items was also really well received by small brands, but big brands were more apprehensive, and they ask, why would I give you my full-size product? Because someone's gonna have the full experience, and next time when they go to Sephora, it's gonna be a product consideration for them, and they can truly fall in love, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Nothing. We used to take the boxes and assemble them by hand.
Okay.
Like this. I can assemble, I can tell you how many I have assembled already.
How fast can you assemble a box?
When you're already in a roll, once you actually get to do it, it takes you seconds, right? And I think I was pretty gifted.
You don't
so I did it
looking
pretty
at
fast,
it.
you know? So once you get on a roll, it's pretty easy. So it took a while, but eventually when you receive the first big major brand, the second one comes through and the third one, and they feel like, okay, if they did this, we need to do it as well. I wanted to make sure that when people talk about beauty, Boxycharm is going to be mentioned as a conversation. If you are mentioned, you're relevant. If you're relevant, you're cool. And I think because it took me a while to figure it out. What do I need to do to be cool? If no one talks about you, no matter what you tell me, you're not cool.
And they were talking about you because you had the best product because you were doing full size when everyone else was doing samples.
Well, it's kind of like a flywheel.
Right.
So if you're the first big, successful, full-size product box, and you create a lot of conversation in the space, influencers would say, why would I talk about a box unless it makes sense for my audience? But yet everyone's talking about Boxycharm already. Now it makes me relevant. Now when influencers talk about Boxycharm, they started not just having a good reaction because they're actually placing a box that sells itself. Please show us what goes into the box next month. It's a discovery concept.
Right.
Also, they would receive more views because we were so relevant. There was just so many searches around Boxycharm that when they'll mention Boxycharm, they'll have more views. And they say, well, now it's in my best interest to talk about what's relevant. Let me talk about them, even for free. And then when the cool kids are talking about you, which is the relevant influencers, then brands want you because now they want to be there to be part of the conversation. So now brands are coming in. Okay, we want to be in your box. Okay, Kylie Jenner, you get everyone's talking about you. Okay, let's do that. And now when you get more big brands, more better items, what happened is back then the community gets to talk about you even more.
Right. And in terms of influencers, I've read that you try to find up-and-coming influencers before they're big time and kind of like try to build those relationships.
I'm very tuned into the social media space and so on. I became friends on a personal level with many influencers, many YouTubers, many Instagrammers, and so on, and you're just in their clique. One common denominator is declutter and have a little bit less. Think mobile, 80% of your members, 82%, we're going to come from a mobile device, so you want to declutter it and think for mobile, not for desktop.
So what would you say your biggest mistake was?
Wasting time in the beginning, getting too comfortable for years.
Right.
Because
so
again,
at what point was that?
Early, right? You get comfortable once you start producing and you get to a certain place and you think that, okay, good, wow, where I was. And you keep looking back, tapping yourself on the shoulder. And until you get a perspective from someone else that does it way better than you in your space.
Right.
And you get a punch to the face, and that was the best thing that can happen to you. And it happened to me. That was a conversation, one phone call that woke me up. One phone call, talking to a friend that does the same thing that I do, but instead of making a couple $100,000 a year, he was talking how he makes millions, and that's all I needed. And I never changed it. It was just, but I'm glad I had that because I looked back and I was looking inward
Right.
Why did it take me so many years to think about it? Why did I need that phone call? And I have a whole personal discussion with myself about that. Why did it happen? But I'm glad it did.
Yeah,
And looking inward is a big help.
I would say it's interesting because in the beginning, when you started your business, you needed the money to pay for school and pay for life. And then you obviously hit a point where you didn't need money for the next day, like you were okay. Now, so did you think that there was a ceiling when you hit that comfortable point where you're like, okay, this is where
subconsciously, yes, I was the cable that tied myself into a tree and didn't let my mind think bigger. Then that was a mindset that changed, and it forever changed. Within 7 years, we got to close to 500 million in sales. So the point is, it's a hockey stick, it's all in your mind.
Right.
If you think hundreds of thousands, that's what you're gonna make. If you think millions, that's what you're gonna, if you think billions, so the whole thing, it just shifted up.
If you look back, is there anything you would have done differently?
I'm so glad I made most of my mistakes in my first business because it's kind of like childhood disease.
Right.
You want to get it early, get it out of the way, burn it into your DNA, not to ever do it again, and move on.
Now, when you're at this level, what continues to motivate you as, you know, if tomorrow you said, all right, I don't want to do this anymore.
I just like to build stuff, you know what? I enjoy building things. I mean, you find out that at first you build it because you want to make money. I think it's politically incorrect to say that, but it's wrong to lie. Right? People do it because they want to make ends meet. It's just I did this because I wanted to make a living, right? That's how it all starts. So it starts for one reason, but then there's a whole different reasons. Once you actually open that door, things change and you enjoy for all the other reasons, which are better reasons, because that's what sticks. That's your name, that's your legacy. So when it's a raining day, you're going to protect your legacy no matter what.
So Joe, I got to thank you.
Thank you.
This has been awesome. The story is incredible. You came here and really pursued the American dream in its most authentic form, coming from humble beginnings, teaching yourself, figuring things out, building this company, selling it for $500 million. It's an unbelievable story and a testament to who you are and your values and your brilliance, honestly.
Now, you know what? One thing I can tell you is that you're successful. You did a great interview with Dave Grutman.
Thank you.
Right? It's definitely, he's the king of Miami, so definitely you did good.
That's my motivation.
Yes.
So thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.